Live Impact News here in the studio. I'm Colin Mayfield on WCNC Plus. Day 2 of the draft, round 2 and 3, taking over Live Impact News here in the WCNC Plus studios. I do want to bring in Eugene Robinson, who is the host of Charlotte Today, alongside Mia Atkins. But Eugene had just an illustrious career, 16 plus seasons with different teams. But Eugene, you find yourself in Green Bay, so I appreciate you taking the time, man, to talk to us a little bit, because I don't think we utilize you enough, man. You have so much NFL experience, understanding, especially with this type of draft, right, with the players. So I wanted to get your expertise and just get some of your comments about what Green Bay feels like and what you've been able to see so far in Green Bay, if you wouldn't mind telling us.
Yeah, hey, so Colin, today it was rainy. Yesterday it was a better day. Had about maybe 175,000, 200,000 people in that stadium. Just to give something, a little tidbit, is that the people who live near the stadium, it was costing $150 just to park in their driveway, all right? So now, since it's day 2, that price is going down to $50. All right, so I don't expect you to see a 200,000 crowd, but somewhere in the 150s, somewhere there, it's going to be a big crowd. It stopped raining, which now allows for more people to come in, because the rain earlier was keeping people away, but now people are starting to flood into the bowl.
Awesome, Eugene. Yeah, we were kind of seeing some of those shots, and I've been to Green Bay. My parents live in Wisconsin. I know, Titletown, it revolves all around the Packers. You played for the Packers in 1995, and just how good is it to kind of be back home in some respects? I know that Charlotte is your home, home away from home, but you did play for Green Bay, and how does that feel being back?
I mean, I guess it's a blast from the past, and it's refreshing too, because I was able to see Andre Rison, who I hadn't seen in like 20 plus years. I got a chance to see Andre Rison, who was on that Super Bowl team with me, and a number of other guys that was on it there. Antonio Freeman, I hadn't seen in a long time. So being back here at the draft was refreshing, because it's been a reunion for us old guys kind of to get together a little bit. So I've been loving it, enjoying every moment of it. And really, Colin, I've been sucking it all up and just thinking with it, because it's been really refreshing to be around all my guys.
I got to ask you, last question, because I know you got more to catch up on there in Green Bay. Who do you think goes first in the second round tonight? A lot of talk about Shedeur Sanders. I do believe the Browns are the first team on the clock. What are you thinking there?
I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be the next person off the clock. I mean, There's no doubt. I mean, I thought that he was going to go in the first round. It didn't materialize, so they put Doc Jackson and Cam Ward. But I think that he's probably the next best available player. And if you're looking for a quarterback, which Cleveland is, I think they take him. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And I'm hoping the Panthers pick up an edge rusher or a linebacker too, because I think that's a great pick with McMillan. But I think also we need some help on that defense side of the ball. So I'm looking for a great draft, and there's a lot of available players right now who can go ahead and fit the need for the Carolina Panthers and also Cleveland Browns.
Perfect. All right, Eugene, appreciate your time, my friend. You spending some time with us here on WCNC Plus. Have a great rest of your night. Hope you can enjoy that there in Green Bay. We'll continue to watch from afar here in Charlotte. As Eugene was just talking about, Carolina has the 25th pick of round 2, 57th if you're going consecutive from round 1. But Nick Carboni was telling me a little bit earlier, Jeb, I'll bring Jeb Goldman in here, you can speak as well, about this, that Carolina sounds like they will have a very interesting night, could be moving up. I don't see anything on the social media nether regions right now talking about that, but we will keep an update on that. And then when things do break, it sounds like Nick will come in here to talk a little bit more about who the picks could be, who those players are, and just to give us some insight. But yeah, right now it seems like the Browns are on the clock, and it seems like the best fit for them, as you just heard Eugene talk about, Jeb, is Shedeur Sanders. However, there's still a lot of good players out there. You've got guys like Will Johnson, who's a quarterback from Michigan. He's the 10th overall rank, and got a pretty good grade on him as well. So very interesting to see who's still left on the board right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and I like Shedeur Sanders. You know, I think that's a guy with a lot of confidence, a lot of skill. I mean, I think he's a fantastic quarterback. But don't be surprised if the Browns go Tyler Shuck here
Ooh.
out of Louisville.
Okay.
And you know, I'd like to take credit for that take, but the reason I bring that up is I saw it on the draft broadcast before this.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they made a surprise pick here. Now, if it were me, and I was picking, I'd pick Shedeur.
Yeah.
But if I were Shedeur, I wouldn't want to really go to Cleveland with the situation they have now. So I would really be hoping to fall to our buddies down in Pittsburgh, or I guess up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But they need to trade up because they don't pick until until pick 80 something.
Okay.
So-
So the best overall, we've got Will Johnson, who's, like I said, Mike Green, who's an edge from Marshall, Nick Worry, from South Carolina, who's a safety. So some good players still. Trayvon Henderson, I was pretty shocked he didn't come off the board in round one, but there were so many other players I think that people were trying to get to. Elijah Arroyo, who's a tight end from Miami, you saw him play really closely with Xavier Restrepo.
Yep.
And Cam Ward.
I like Restrepo a lot.
Yeah, I do like Restrepo too. He got some knocks just because of his 40-yard dash time.
Yeah, I think he was hurt. Like I thought that was. That's why I don't love these combine
Yeah.
pro day things. It's like you watch the guy play for 3-4 years.
Right.
He had a great season.
Right.
And you're gonna assess him and drop for the final grade down.
Yeah.
To what he did on that. Like I just thought that was silly.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, you cannot. I mean, I know a lot of footballs are right about speed, how you can apply that speed with strength, and obviously getting down, getting into the right form. But it seems like he wouldn't have had as many catches and setting records at Miami if he wasn't able to get distance.
Like you've got to be a talented
from
player,
defenders.
right? I mean,
So-
you have Cam Ward.
Yeah.
You know, Cam Ward is a great quarterback, but you look good when you have good receivers.
Right.
Like I think that goes in tandem. So that's just my 2 cents.
Right. So I don't see the Browns have chosen anyone just yet. They're still on the clock, and it's interesting because Browns have 2 picks in the first five. 2 picks in the first 5 of round 2. So they have the first pick of round 2 and then the 4th pick, which they traded for last night, I do believe. In which you saw Jacksonville able to kind of move up to get not Shedeur Sanders, his teammate that would be Travis Hunter. So, and obviously he made waves today. He was down in Duval County, just like we saw T-Mac here in Charlotte.
Yep.
I'm excited about that choice. I mean, I know we didn't pick a defensive player, and I say we because I feel like I fall in the Carolina Panthers fan bucket.
Oh yeah,
now.
I mean when you live here, I mean that's as close.
Even though
as
I'm
you
still a
can
Bengals
get.
fan,
Right.
but which we'll talk about that in a second. I'm not sure what that pick was about, but anyway, I think it's interesting. Nick talked about he can high point the ball. He's 6'4". I think for me too, it's going to be cool to see. I think Bryce Young throw over the middle and this guy go up the ladder and get that
Yeah,
ball.
I mean you've got 2 guys who on paper should be making those contested
Yeah.
catches. So I'm curious to see what happens when they get on the line and.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that he can learn some separate. I mean, he's
I
not a
think so,
fast
too.
guy, but if he
Yeah.
can be shifty, I think that there's a lot of opportunities for growth. That's the other thing is, these guys are still raw talent. They're still young men who can be coached by really talented coaches. And I think people
Right.
agree that the Panthers have a lot of really good offensive-minded
They do.
leadership
They do.
on in that front office. So be curious to see what they can do with such a fantastic talent.
Right.
I love the Big 12. I loved T-Mac in the Pac-12. That was my conference.
Yep.
So RIP. But I thought he was great there, and he translated well into the Big 12, and I think that's a huge green flag for Panthers fans in that organization, that he was able to transcend the leagues and just really be a dominant player no matter who he was facing. So I think that bodes well for his career early on in the NFL.
Well said. I don't know if there were any shocks last night, so as we're still waiting for Cleveland to... Oh, the pick is in, it seems like. So we'll wait for that here in a second. But yeah, the big stories from last night, Miami's quarterback Cam Ward coming first off the board last night to Tennessee. I don't think anybody was surprised with that. The man's got great talent. He was very humble, had a humble chain, had a humble suit. Seems like he is ready to get to work. So that is an exciting thing. And it looks like, and then, I was talking about the Bengals, right? Interesting choice to get a guy who, you heard Dan Morgan talking about they went for men who have proven themselves in college. The Texas A&M choice, the edge rusher Shamar, I'm forgetting his last name now. The Bengals. Yeah, I think it's Stewart. Shamar Stewart. I think you're right. Had 4.5 sacks during his college career, so not big numbers. I think it's the physical stature and the athletic ability that he has that really jumped off the paper to the Bengals. So it'll be interesting. He met Joe Burrow today. I saw, excuse me, Joe say something like, let's get some sacks, and then headed off into the elevator. So I think that'll be an interesting discussion as well. So let's see. Who did they choose? They chose Carson Schwezinger. I'm probably saying that wrong. So a linebacker. So, I mean, they needed some defense. I'm a little bit surprised with that choice. Not going to lie. Carson, let's pull up his numbers here. He is from, did I see? UCLA. Okay. They've been in the news quite a lot lately. Obviously, some.
I mean, a good year. He was a semifinalist for both the Butkus and the Butkus won the Burlsworth Trophy.
Okay.
That's pretty good. I mean, he had a great combine. I mean, he was a first team All-American, first team All Big Ten last year.
Yeah.
For UCLA, and what was an otherwise pretty disappointing year. So I think it's a good. His major was bioengineering. That's also fascinating.
So he'll have some legs to stand on.
This
once
might
he's
be
done.
actually a great pick. Oh, and he started as a walk-on. So he went from walk-on to first team All-American.
Wow.
That is awesome.
That's a story.
Yeah,
That's a story. And he's got some good size too. He's 6'2", 225.
Yeah, I mean
that's good for a linebacker.
I'm kind of
That's a great
surprised a guy like
story.
this was still up there. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, you got to think that there's a plethora of defensive guys that are.
Well, that's
still,
the thing. This is and we saw that last night. A lot of people on that side of the ball were
This is a defensive
taking.
draft for sure. I mean, we've been talking a lot about it. I guess the draft is not on ESPN tonight because it is. Is it playoffs tonight? Sorry, guys. We're trying to make sure that we're on the right thing tonight. There it is. All right. Oh, it's on ESPN too. Okay. All right. So sorry about that.
And honestly, I didn't know either. I mean, I feel like this was still relevant enough to.
So they seem happy. The Browns seem happy.
Yeah, it
so,
seems like a good pick. I think Browns
Yeah.
fans should be very happy.
Yeah.
That
So-
defense can be crazy next year.
It's going to be great. I mean, Myles Garrett.
Yeah, they signed
holds
him up
everything
on
down.
a big deal.
Yeah.
I still don't trust their offense very much. I mean, I don't know much.
I don't
about their
think Browns
offense at
fans
all.
trust their offense, but
What do they
you
even
know,
have on
I
offense?
think we would have to ask Brad about that. I mean, who's quarterbacks? I mean, I always think of Jameis Winston. He's been gone for a while.
I mean, they have Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Deshaun Watson.
That's right. And yesterday they picked Mason Graham, who's the defensive
Yep.
tackle from Michigan, which I think that was a great pick.
Yeah, I think that was great. And they got a trade for him, too.
Yeah,
Like, that
I was hoping the Bengals would either pick him up or the guy from Tennessee.
Yeah.
James Pierce Jr. But
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta got that guy, and I think he's gonna be a game changer. Him and Jalen Walker, man.
Atlanta had a good night last night. Those fans, I mean, I hate to say it, but those fans can be pretty happy.
Yeah, I'm hoping that down the road we don't kick ourselves for not getting Jalen Walker.
Yeah. Man, the Wikipedia for the Browns is already updated to have Carson Schwarzenegger.
Oh, it doesn't take long.
That's
Those-
crazy.
Those people are
I'm
up on
looking
it
right now.
quick.
That's nuts.
They're up on it quick. All right, pick is in for the Texans. They got this from the Giants last night, by the way, if you're wondering why they are up next.
Jaden Higgins.
Jaden Higgins. Let's get more. Where are you saying this so quickly,
Dude,
sir?
I got my sources.
I know. Yesterday you guys had it on before even ESPN had it on.
Yeah,
the Carolina pick.
Yep.
You had the pick here first. That's why we tell you to download WCNC Plus.
Live Impact News. We get it first.
We break it first.
I love this pick. You're replacing Stephon Diggs with a younger player who I think is more versatile.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Iowa State because one of my buddies here, big Iowa State guy. But here's the thing.
Oh, he's like 6'5".
Yeah, he's massive.
Yeah.
And he's shifty with it, but he wasn't the best receiver on the board.
No, he wasn't.
No.
And he wasn't the best receiver on that team. 'Cause
No.
They had another guy, Nolan, I think his last
Yeah.
name is. I was playing with him on college football, the video game.
Yep.
They have an amazing air attack, and they have a great tight end as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he declared for the draft, but Iowa State wasn't a sleeper this year, but a sleeper in terms of offensive production.
This is crazy how fast.
Yeah, Jaden Higgins he's a tall dude.
No, they
6'4",
should have gone for
6'4".
Luther Burden though, out of Missouri. I think
Excuse me, I was going to say that. I'm surprised. And he also posted last night that he went back out.
Looks like the Titans just traded a pick.
Titans.
Oh, Seattle's taking the Titans pick.
Okay. So Tennessee off the clock now because the Seahawks have swapped. And it seems like they've already their pick is in. That's what I'm seeing. They haven't updated on anything else. All right, so yeah, Jaden Higgins was a great pick. Luther Burden, though, you're a Missouri guy.
Yeah, I think he's the best receiver in this draft. Like,
You think so?
I think he's whoever gets him is an absolute steal. The guy's amazing. He didn't
Yeah.
have a whole lot of production last year because he wasn't being used the right way. I mean, they were giving him a lot of screen passes,
Yeah.
a lot of balls on the line of scrimmage and saying, go make something happen. And he's a guy who's got speed, can create separation, can run routes really, really well.
Yeah.
The reason I know this is because he did it the year before.
Okay.
So I think because the quarterback, Brady Cook, was dealing with some injuries, didn't have the ability to really make those deep plays, and Burden suffered from some poor quarterback play. But at the end of the day, he is still Luther Burden, still one of the best receivers we've ever seen play the college game. Like,
Jalen Noel, sorry.
Yes, Jalen Noel.
That's
Yep.
Iowa State. It was
Yep.
a Nolan. I know it was an N. He is also very good. So
He's
they've got two
excellent.
receivers in the draft. So you were saying, Trey Harris, too. That wide receiver from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Another.
The Wazoo kid, too, is very good. I forgot his name.
He's a receiver, too?
Yeah. Here, I'll pull up the stats here.
Oh, and Jack Beck, too. Oh,
He's great.
if you remember,
he was at TCU.
his brother,
Yeah.
brother was killed in the
New
New Orleans
Orleans.
terrorist attack. He's still on the board as well. You're saying Tyler, how do you say his last name?
Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
From Louisville? You were saying he was going to come off the board.
Tyler Shuck, yes.
Shuck from
I think
Louisville.
that'll be the next quarterback off the board.
Okay. Before Shadur.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, now, I mean, I kind of thought the Browns were going to take him.
I even saw the president calling out 32 NFL teams today.
Yeah, I saw that. And
For not
again,
taking Shedeur.
Shedeur Sanders has got to be the most naturally gifted quarterback there.
He is. And, there's a lot of talk about whatever happened in interviews. It'd be nice to have, when you have sourcing like that, to have a name, right? So you know where that came
Right, I
from.
think that's where a lot of people have issue with that.
So I think you have to take some of this stuff with a grain of salt, just because you don't know, right, what's at play, what agendas could be. So I mean, it'll be an interesting thing to play out. I don't know the storyline behind it, but it'll be interesting to see. And I think it's fuel for the fire for him.
Totally, and I saw this a lot. I take massive issue with. If the reason he's falling seems so silly because it's not falling, all those teams
Right.
He's still a massively talented player, still going to get drafted today. But if the biggest issue teams have with him right now is ego, I can't agree with that. That's not.
Well, what NFL player doesn't have an ego?
Right, that's the thing. And he
Or they
threw
just
for
hide it,
4,000
right?
yards last year. He's been dominant his entire life.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's ego for the sake of it. Like he has earned it.
Agreed.
Yes, Colorado had a rough year given their expectations, but
Agreed.
That was a program.
It's not just
that
on
was-
him though either.
No, it's not. He did.
So-
He played as well as he possibly could.
Yeah.
I mean, he took an unrealistic amount of sacks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think.
He had a decent year.
Yeah, I think he should be immensely proud of the year he
I
had.
agree. Yeah, and I think he will get drafted, and I think he will have a good career. I think it's just it's unfortunate because you've heard this type of thing before. It's not just Shedeur that has had this type of situation.
Totally.
So and it in all intents and purposes, sometimes it does seem a little unfair when you're not able to talk to the man himself who's being talked about.
Right.
So we'll see. So interesting things. I'm still waiting to see what will happen with Carolina because
I firmly believe that the Panthers are going to move up here soon.
okay, and then so the draft order. Let's go back to the draft order again here.
Yeah, they got Seahawks, Browns pick after this. I think the Browns may go quarterback after.
I think they'll go. That's where they could do Shedeur.
See, I want Shedeur to fall. Selfish. I think he'd be great on the Saints.
You think so?
And I'd rather I would respectfully not want to be a part of the Browns franchise right now.
Yeah, respectfully.
Like
Yeah.
and Browns fans, I apologize. I think guys, and I have a lot of friends who are Browns
Keeping it real.
fans.
Yeah.
I think that defense is going to be crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean no doubt.
I just don't want to put I think They're going to rush a rookie quarterback into whatever it is because Pickett's not very good.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco is very, very old.
Yeah.
And then Deshaun Watson, I don't know what the verdict is on him. I don't know what the deal is with him
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And then once there's
gonna
absolutely
play?
no help, you have Njoku.
Right.
But other than that, and I think Cedric Tillman out wide is fine.
Well,
but-
and Landry's gone now, right?
yeah. They
So-
don't have anybody. I mean, they
don't have anyone.
lost Amari Cooper.
Yeah. Well, and so maybe they choose. I mean,
They still have Jerry Jeudy. I think they must have Jerry Jeudy.
yeah, I think you're still right. They do have Jerry Jeudy, but he's had some issues with drops. Not necessarily last year, but just in recent times.
He's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not a situation that I would really want to be throwing in. I don't think a rookie's going to do better than Deshaun Watson there. Like I don't see that.
No, and as you said, there's a whole different situation with that. Man, look at this. Richard Sherman. Oh, they went with Nick Emenwuri, safety from South Carolina.
There we go.
He's got some good ball skills for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick for them.
Yeah.
And I'll spoil the Browns pick for you as well. They
Okay,
went with
please do.
Quinshon Judkins.
What? Before Trayvon Henderson?
Yep.
I'm
That's
surprised. Brad was telling me that
crazy.
he was thinking that Trayvon Henderson was going to come off the board first, and here, I guess it didn't happen.
That's
Interesting.
great. Ahead of him, Cam Scatabo.
Yeah.
Like that's bizarre.
Well, they must have really liked something in the interview. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and that's the thing. Like we don't know what it was like in the room.
Yeah. Or whatever they saw maybe in private workouts.
But they needed a running back. I mean, Jerome Ford was not the guy. They've moved on from Nick Chubb.
Yeah, unfortunately, man, Nick Chubb could have had just all
it's
the
horrible.
injuries.
I'll never.
you know?
That's one of those where I remember exactly where I was when he took that hit.
Yeah.
And I remember just my heart. So it was one of those.
Yeah.
Where
It reminds me of Willis McGahee.
Yep.
That injury. I remember watching Willis McGahee in the championship. I think it was Miami, Ohio State. And he was never the same after that.
And it's just one of
wasn't.
those where it's hard.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
So I mean, you feel for Chubb, and I don't think Chubb's done. By the way, like I
No,
hope
no,
someone
no.
takes a chance on him.
No, but unfortunately, when you have an injury like that, the explosiveness just is not
yeah,
the
and
same.
they needed something.
So-
They needed a change. And I think a change of scenery will be good for him too. Maybe get behind
Yeah.
a better O line, get some space.
Well, talk about the Bears. The Bears have 2 picks within. They have 2
Almost
picks
back to
here.
back.
Yeah. So I mean, let's not forget about it. They have a second-year quarterback.
I bet they're going to go running back.
You think so?
One of them.
Okay, they could. So, yeah, that South Carolina defense was not bad at all.
No,
this
that
year.
was yeah.
They played really
that
well.
team got really good.
They
towards
got
the
really
end.
well, and I think they're going to have a great year this year because they got Lenore Sellers
Yep.
at quarterback. I think he's a sophomore or junior this year. I think he might have been a redshirt freshman. So I'm looking forward to that. They've got this amazing wide
like
receiver.
19.
Is he?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nick Harbor, who's like 6'7", 6'8". He's actually a track athlete, and they've been working on his hands.
That's
Joe
awesome.
Thomas is doing the Browns pick. That's cool. Man, what a legend he is. Really revolutionized the game for so many linemen just because of how big and how quick he was. I remember playing against a guy who played at Wisconsin with Joe Thomas. Those dudes are just built different, man. When you're 6'7" and you can move,
No, it's
when you're a pulling guard and you can move at 4.5 speed,
Yeah.
there's no hope. There's no hope for a guy like me. So
no. I don't think that
hope.
would go very well.
No hope. And look at Quinshon Judkins, man. I don't think this is a surprise for them. I don't think they thought that this would happen so early, but this is great.
No, I'm sure he's thrilled.
That team had such a great story, that Ohio State team.
It was awesome.
Obviously, a little bump in the road to my team, Michigan there, but got it straightened out. I think that's all they needed.
Yeah.
Was that loss, and they just took everybody out behind the shed later this year. So what a team, and obviously they built around Christ and making sure that God was a part of that team, which I thought was really cool to see as well. But what an amazing story. Quinshon Judkins headed to the Browns, and the Browns are done for round 2 now. But I think they got away with 2 good picks. So that'll be interesting to see. So the Raiders are on the clock now. Jebby, let me know if you see any breaking stories.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I hope that they go receiver.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be
that's
good because
exciting.
they have.
They have Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, a tight end who's
Right.
great. But Jacoby Myers, I mean, that's not. I don't think that's a recipe. I think Jacoby Myers is really good.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'd be number 1 guy.
Bowers is a beast.
Bowers is insane.
Bowers.
Bowers is the next Kittle,
Yeah.
Kelsey level type. I mean, he's probably better than both of them right now, to
Yeah.
be completely honest.
Well, the speed and the size of that guy.
No, he's great. Come from Napa, California.
got it.
Shout out NorCal.
Mason Taylor, another tight end.
Yep.
From LSU. He's got a lot of upside. Excuse me.
Yeah, this was a really good tight end class, actually.
This is a good. You're right. Yeah.
I was surprised Tyler Warren wasn't the number one.
That's what I was thinking. He still isn't. Was he picked last night?
He was. He went to Indianapolis.
Okay, I missed that then. I did not see that.
I honestly, I was also like, that one went completely
Yeah,
under
that
my
didn't-
radar.
yeah, that did
We were
not-
so focused on Jalen Walker that we almost missed that because he went at 15.
That's true. I guess. Here's another guy that they haven't talked about because they were trying to compare Caleb Downs, safety from Ohio State, to this guy Xavier Watts, who played at Notre Dame, another
Yeah.
safety. He's still on the board too. That would be a fantastic pick, I think, for anybody needing to shore up their
Totally.
defensive backfield. That would be cool.
There's a lot of really good running backs still.
There's a
on the
lot.
board. You have Caleb Johnson from Iowa, who I really like. Obviously, Trevion Henderson,
What about
Scatabo.
What about Jalen Milroe? You think he'll get chosen tonight?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm that's one of those guys. It kind of reminds me of Anthony Richardson, right? Where you've got a guy who's a fantastic athlete,
Yeah.
comes from a good program,
Yeah.
had some moments in college where he looked like the real deal,
Yeah.
and then had some other moments where he looked like he shouldn't even be playing for Alabama.
It's true.
So that's one where
It was a rough senior year for him.
right, but if he can get behind a quarterback for a season,
Yeah.
learn. Be on an NFL roster for a year, understand the pressure and intensity,
trade.
and get coached.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, his intangibles are off the charts. I mean,
They are.
he's a fantastic,
Yeah.
athlete. So I would like to see him be given a chance.
So Raiders traded their pick to
Really?
the Dolphins. And as we know, that team, they just need a little more to get them over that hump. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They seemed like they were going to put everything together in the AFC this last year, but it didn't come to fruition for
No, they hit a buzz every
the
time they played
Dolphins.
Buffalo.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks felt that way. Except
Yeah,
for Kansas
that's
City.
fair. I mean, that team was good.
They were great. They retooled that roster as well. So the Dolphins here, their greatest needs seem like it would be on defense and maybe wide receiver, right? Maybe backfield wise. What are we thinking?
I don't
here?
know. I think the backfield. I think they got rid of Raheem Mostert.
They did.
And you have. I can think of him. He's lightning fast. Absolutely torched Denver a couple years ago. Who am I thinking of?
Tyreek.
No, like the running back.
Oh, yeah. Don't they have a dual guy? I thought they had a dual backfield.
They did. It was Mostert and then someone else.
Okay, I can't think of it now.
Oh my gosh! All right, this is gonna bother me.
It went 8-9 last year. They were second in the AFC East.
Devon Achane.
Oh yeah,
And I
forgot
guess
about that.
Alexander Madison.
And they picked another guy from Arizona, a guard. Jonah, I don't want to butcher his name.
I can't pronounce this. I'll throw it on the in the lower third here.
Interesting, but another Arizona guy off the board. So
I think that was smart. I mean, I think you do everything you can to protect
your
hold that line.
investment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about Tua, right, and how many shots he's taken. So,
But still no quarterbacks taken.
but they needed an offensive guard. They needed a guard, so they're shoring up what they need. They need now a safety, a tackle, and a linebacker. It looks like so. They have another pick at 16, right in front of the Bengals. So we'll see. A lot of these teams have done their job with trying to draft or maybe move around in the rounds to draft others.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting to see this new type of GM mindset. You know, something that I think.
I'd like
Nick
to see the
talked about
Pats go
last night.
receiver here.
Yeah, could do that.
I really just want
Luther
more
Burden.
receivers taken. Like I think
Luther
this
Burden.
class is so stacked.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. I just really didn't want to. I really didn't want him to go to Vegas personally. Like I just didn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'd love if he fell to the Niners. I don't think the Niners would take one at 43. But
Well,
I
maybe.
mean, we lost Debo. Ayuk might be going somewhere else. Would really love the Panthers to be aggressive here and make a move, but I think they might be seeing the trends and
Try to
seeing
figure
that
out.
receivers aren't really moving.
Yeah.
They lost Higgins. I don't think they wanted Higgins because he's the. I mean, they already have.
I mean, and don't they want to go defense at this point?
Right. Yes. You know
what I mean? Like I'm thinking like linebacker maybe.
Yeah. Mike
edge.
Green's still on the board, and Mike Green out of Marshall.
Yeah.
Had some off the field things.
Okay.
You know, had some controversy there.
Okay.
I think that's really affected his draft stock. So I'd be curious if someone takes. He's the most talented player still on. I mean, other than Will Johnson.
Yeah.
Who I'm also very surprised is still on the board.
They've got J.C. Horn, right? They've got him coming back. So the other corner they could maybe shore up as well. But there's Trey Amos from Ole Miss.
Siobhan Revel out of East Carolina. Keep him in the Carolinas. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
No, I honestly, I know exclusively just kind of what I've been reading.
6'2", 194.
Donovan Azuraku, I'm hoping I'm saying that right. People call him Easy.
Yeah.
Out of Boston College. I mean, we had Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer on the show, and he was fantastic. He said that was one of his favorite edge rushers in the whole draft, and he's still on the board.
Interesting.
So I would really love if the Panthers were a little aggressive and took that. I think that'd be really, really helpful.
What about the guy from Ohio State as well, Jack Sawyer? Is he in this draft as well?
I don't think so.
Let's see him.
He's old, right?
Yeah, I think he might be a little older. You're right.
Because didn't he play? Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, he's not listed. So,
I mean, he made him one heck of a play.
Yeah.
To get to the national championship.
Yeah, he had a decent career. Savion Jones, he's from LSU. Jack Sawyer is on the list. He is. He's the number 14 edge.
Okay, so he might. I mean, maybe.
But yeah, he might. So yeah, interesting stuff here. Continuing to lock it down. Let's see. Any interesting stuff? I know we had some big storylines yesterday from the draft. Anything that we want to rerun? Maybe some reaction.
Yeah, we can talk about the head coach talking about getting T-Mac as we wait for the Panthers to make their pick.
Yeah, we'll listen to this for a couple minutes. If we have to cut back in for a couple of minutes, we'll do that.
Sweet.
What's up, guys?
Good evening.
How you doing?
How we doing?
Good. Oh, doing good. Oh, okay. Yeah, first of all, we're super excited about, our 8th pick, getting Tet. He's somebody that we obviously really liked. Thought he could really add a different dimension to our offense and just add another playmaker to the offensive side of the ball. So not only a great player, but he's a great kid and somebody that Dave and I really value. So we're excited to have him in the building and excited to get going with him.
Can you tell us about some of the calls that you were fielding? We heard that you were fielding some calls for that number 8 pick.
Yeah, we did. We had a few calls. Obviously, you entertain everything, and at the end of it, we wanted to get our guy, and we're excited about it.
What wide receiver at this point versus defense, which you said was a big need coming in the offseason?
Yeah, and it's still a need, and we have 8 more picks. So we wanted to add the best player. We wanted to follow our board of who we thought was going to help us the most up there. So again, we got our guy, and we're excited about it.
You said he adds a different dimension, actually, for both of you guys. What is that dimension, and was there any concern about kind of his lack of, elite speed?
Yeah, I think he has really good play speed. I think the thing that pops off the tape about Ted is just how smooth he is, his body control, his ability to adjust to all types of throws, his catch radius, and his hands are elite. He catches everything outside his frame, and he can win the jump ball down the field and in the red zone. He's a guy that has 18 touchdowns the past 2 years, so he puts the ball in the end zone, and obviously that's something that we want to do.
Dave, do you view him as a day one impact starter?
Absolutely, he's going to have to work for it. He certainly, comes in just like everybody else, and comes into a talented group. Probably the thing I'm most excited about is just the further we dug in, the pro day, all the postseason work, just getting to know the guy, spending time with him. We had him here on a 30 visit, to be able to spend a little bit more time and just making sure that he was the right fit for our team. The type of players we're looking for. They love playing ball. They love to work on their craft, and it really shows up, when I just kind of, we were, Dan and I just the last couple of days, as we're getting ready for this pick, we're just like nitpicking and like, so I put my receiver coach hat on and just watched his pro day and watched his just his route craft, the way that he can reduce his surface in the top of routes as a 6'4" guy, the way he comes back to the ball, some of the things that you look for as a great starting point for a receiver, and so, giving us that good size element, the red zone target, a lot of things to be excited about, so something that was really cool for us to just come together on and kind of knew, like, unless somebody blew us out of the water with something, we weren't going to let our guy pass, and so it was a great moment for us.
How much of an impact did the additions that you guys were able to add on the defensive side of the ball in free agency? How much did that impact your draft board?
You certainly take it all into consideration, but like Dan said, we follow the board. You rank the players how you like them and where the talent's at, and so you just stay true to it. And it comes right to you. Some of those picks right before us, really thought, the fifth pick was a big moment for us. Kind of like what was going to happen here that was going to help us get our guy at that point. And so, with Cleveland taking Mason Graham right there in that spot, the board kind of felt like Tet's going to make it, and we're holding our breath right there, for a couple more picks, but really excited about that.
You guys as a program have preached size and length. Obviously, McMillan fits those molds. I'm just curious, how does he fit into like the wide receiver room from a complementary standpoint, outside of those attributes?
Yeah, shoot, you got like a basketball team going on right now. There's different attributes, and Xavier, the power and speed he brings, Thielen's craftsmanship. You saw Jalen Coker come on strong last year. Tet all of a sudden brings in this really long, 6'4" target to kind of round out the group. So, it's a really cool group to think about. And I mean, obviously, like right off the bat, Brad and Rob come down the hall, and I'm like, all right, boys, here we go. And so pretty exciting.
I know I harp on this point a lot, but you're a former wide receivers coach. Brad's a former wide receivers coach. Rob, all of his accolades. You guys have invested so heavily in wide receiver. From a developmental standpoint, how much pressure does that put on you guys to kind of deliver and make that group kind of ascend?
I love that. I love for the pressure to be on us to utilize these guys with their talents, the unique abilities they have, to fit them into the core of our schemes, to continue to find out who we are and to find that identity, in the pass game. And then, of course, just from a team standpoint, just getting football players, getting dogs, getting playmakers, and we really felt like we got that in Tet.
How much did just the way Bryce finished the season and seeing that uptick, how much did that go into like saying, look, we got defensive needs, but we got to get this quarterback another weapon?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's and for Dan as well, we got to do what's best for the team, and the best thing we can do is to evaluate our board to stay true to where we have guys at. And when you really like have conviction about a player, and they come to you, the alternatives, like the trade alternatives and all those things, they got to like blow you out of the water, to pass up on all the work that's been done, not just, myself and Dan, but his whole staff, my staff as well, just looking at these guys and being able to evaluate them and so that it's a collective decision so that we all go into this thing with a commitment to make the Panthers better.
You guys both had said individually this offseason that you were good with the receiver group you have. Clearly, you felt it needed another piece, though.
No, I wouldn't so much say that. I mean, I just think, again, like you follow your board and you take the best players, and Tet was high on our board. We obviously felt really good about him, and he was there for the taking, so we didn't want to pass up on a good player.
Was there a particular moment where you guys looked at each other and said, okay, this is our guy?
I felt like it was about like every time we watched him, we're just like, another great catch, and just the way that he just it's effortless that the way he catches the ball, and he catches everything outside his frame, and he's just a great receiver that is super fluid. His body control is some of the best I've seen in a while. So he's exciting.
And the one thing that I really learned from Dan just through the process is the biggest challenge, which is all still new to me as a head coach, is to get into the horizontal comparisons of offensive players versus defensive players. And when you start looking player for player and the dynamic way that they move, the dynamic way they play, and having to try to compare them across different positions, apples to oranges, was really kind of where we came back in the process and kept putting him on. And then you're like really excited. You almost can't turn the tape off. So it's like, it stood out, in such a special way that, he made the decision easy for us.
Yeah.
You guys 2 years in a row, a wide receiver, first round, you turning into an offensive guy there?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm turning into a guy that just wants to bring good football players in here, and it's just another opportunity to bring a great player in here.
Is there a chance you're not done today?
No. Yeah. No, I think we're done. Yeah. I was like, no, I meant like, no, we're not.
When you look at last year's draft,
Your eyes got really big, Bob.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna be busy. When you look at the way you guys handled last year's draft, now that this first pick's in, what lessons can you possibly take from last year that you might apply now to day 2 and day 3?
Yeah, I think it's just going back, reassessing your board, and trying to figure out what guy is going to fall to us at 57, and then just kind of weighing the options of, hey, should we trade up? Should we stay where we're at? Should we trade back? So, I just think all options are on the table again, right? With this second pick, and we're just going to attack it, and we're going to follow the board.
If you had traded back, did you have like a form off?
We had a lot of people sniffing around. I think it would have had to be something above and beyond, for us to kind of pull off this pick. But yeah, that's where we were.
You said you had some good conversations leading up to the draft with him. Can you talk about the cultural fit that he might be with this team?
Yeah, I mean, and then speaking to just kind of like the lessons learned from one year to the next, we look at the guys that we brought in last year, and they fit the profile of what we want for Panthers football players, and so that's really that commitment, kind of looking at the guys that that just like the more that we watched him, the more that you see the different parts of his craft show up. You can tell this is a guy that works on it a lot. For a 6'4" guy to be able to reduce at the top of his routes the way he does, that takes work. And his speed cuts and all those things that you just kind of see somebody that's working on his game. And so I think just taking a note out of that and just knowing that we're getting another person that fits into what we're trying to do, and the guy's a baller. And that's like. There's a simple way to look at it. You watch film, and the ballers show up, and they make plays in big moments, and they're always looking to do something special.
For one of you, the defense had historical struggles last year. With the offensive wide receiver group, you have 2 guys already above 6 foot, 6'3". What would you say to the fans about what you believe about this defense, not taking a pick in the defensive side of the ball this early in the draft? What would your message to the fans be about what you believe about this defense?
I'll go first. Same thing. We're trying to do the best thing for the Panthers, and that's our commitment. Is if we can stay true to our evaluation process and follow the board, be disciplined about that over time, we'll select the players that we have conviction on, that we're all on the same page with, all on the same board. All on board with to make those choices, and so I think the consistency of the players that we're looking for is what we're after, and I think that it's been said, in different ways, like if you start to chase needs and you're not just being true to your process and true to the players that come to you and the ones you have belief in, I think that, sometimes that you can, get yourself a little bit out of whack and not in alignment for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and we did attack our defensive needs through free agency, and again, we have eight picks left, and our board has a lot of defensive guys on there as well, so it's definitely not something that we're going to neglect.
Dave, I don't think you answered this already. Apologize if you did, but have you communicated with Bryce yet about this?
Yeah, right away. We got him on speakerphone and talked to Bryce. He's fired up. So another Southern California guy. They kind of played. They were in different times, but Servite High School, Mater Dei are rivals. And they're kind of in the same area. So there's no love lost there. But I think for the culture of what we're trying to do, that part is just a bonus.
And a little bit similar question, but do you, on something like this, do you communicate to Xavier Legette, who might feel a little threatened by this pick?
Not right now. Right now, we're celebrating this moment with our guys, and when Ted gets here, again, tomorrow will be an opportunity. He'll be in here at some point, so I'm sure, the fans will be able to meet him at some point tomorrow. But right now it's just about celebrating this moment, and when he comes in here, he's a Panther. He's one of us.
Was this pick something
of an indictment of Legette in his early development?
No, Xavier, he wants to win, and that's all Xavier cares about, just kind of going back to that question. Xavier wants to win, and he's hungry to go out there and compete and show up big this year. And I know he's been working his butt off, and we're excited about him, and we're excited about the team and the direction that we're headed.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
See you guys.
Trying to get you home early tonight. I thought we would be here for a while.
I think they're excited about it. It'll be cool to see T-Mac. When he said that nickname yesterday, I thought so much about Tracy McGrady, but then Brad reminded me how old I am because he probably doesn't even know who Tracy McGrady is. So that's probably why he picked the name T-Mac. Well, you were right, Jeb. Tyler, say his name again for me.
Tyler Shuck.
Shuck is the first quarterback in round 2 to be taken off the draft, ahead of Shedeur Sanders. We really thought Shedeur would be picked by the Saints, but yeah, Tyler Shuck going to the Saints. I mean, they needed somebody. So this guy hopefully will be able to come into his own. And obviously we know how steep the rookie learning curve is, especially with an offense like the Saints and how they kind of run their offense, kind of a run and gun type of style. But Luther Burden, your guy, off the board as well, picked by the Bears, who are back again on the clock. So interesting couple of picks. While that was going, we saw Trayvon Henderson chosen as well by the Patriots, which is interesting because they already have a pretty good running back.
A very good running back.
So, I mean, maybe like I said earlier, maybe they're going to use Henderson.
Running back by committee is a
out
thing.
Of the backfield.
A lot of people are getting into that.
They'll toss some screens, toss some out routes, that type of thing. He's got great hands out of the backfield, so that'll be interesting. So, the Bills on the clock now because they just traded their pick. Or the Bears traded their pick to the Bills. So the Bills are now on the clock. They are looking for, it seems like, a wide receiver. They need a wide receiver, I would assume.
That's what I'm thinking.
Now, with Luther Burden off the list, let's see what other best available wide receivers there are. Trey Harris, who I've spoken about, he's got an insane catch radius as well. He had 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, 114 passes caught in 2 seasons at Ole Miss. Probably the number 1 receiver on the board still. You got Jalen Noel, Iowa State, Jack Beck, who we talked about, Jalen Royals, who I don't know much about from Utah State.
I wouldn't be surprised here if they went corner.
Think so? Okay. Well, they need a safety, it seems.
Yeah, and the best safety is already off the board, both of them.
Yeah, they still. I think did I talk about? Let's see. Yeah, the Kevin Winston Jr. He's from Penn State, and Xavier Watts. Those 2 guys are great.
You know who's a quarterback? A receiver that I need to be getting some more love, and I've now proven myself as a qualified draft analyst.
You have
nailing this thing.
You're better than Stephen A.
Alec Iomanor out of Stanford.
Yes,
I'm a Bay Area kid. I think that guy is a stud.
Yes.
He is fantastic.
Yes, I agree.
The touchdown catch where he caught it on Travis Hunter.
Yes.
It was like over his helmet, like that guy. Yes. And everybody's, and I understand he plays for Stanford, but he needs some more love. That's one who I don't mind if he keeps falling and goes to a team that can really use him because that guy is very, very good. He got some drops. I'll acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to also say this again. When you play with Alec on NCAA football,
he's nuts.
He's a beast.
I'm just going to say, in my dynasty, he had the greatest season by any college. I think he put up like 3,000 yards receiving.
There you have it.
That's a pretty good year.
There you have it, man. So, and let's just think. We saw Matthew Golden go yesterday. They also have another Isaiah Bond from Texas. He's another guy. I think he's a little bigger. Or he's 5'11", so he's an inch taller. Brew McCoy, too, is another wide receiver who's flown under the radar from Tennessee. I mean, he had a great year. You've got Tez Johnson, who played at Oregon.
Yeah, Tez Johnson, that's another one that I'm like. He was super good 2 years ago.
He was, and I think it's the size for him, right? He's 5'10", 150 pounds. He's 160, maybe dripping wet. So
that's insane. I didn't realize he was so small.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing a game like this, sometimes those type of things do come into play. Now, I'm not saying that they've said that in any draft related
No, but I mean, you also
discussions.
the writing's on the
right.
wall.
But
I mean, you know,
looking at that, you
he's
got
the lightest. He was the lightest player at the combine this year.
Yeah,
and that makes sense
by far.
You know, another one I really love when we're talking receivers, because I don't know if he'll get drafted, but he should. Nick Nash out of San Jose State.
Yeah, Nick Nash doesn't get a lot of love at all.
He led FBS in touchdowns, receptions, and yards.
Yep.
Yes, it was the Mountain West. Yes, it was for San Jose State.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you still got to do it.
Preach.
Like, if it was that easy, someone else would have done it. Like,
True.
I think at the end of the day,
You're not wrong.
this is a kid with a lot of talent.
Yep.
He wants people wrong. He feels like he got robbed for the best receiver of the year.
Yeah.
Chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
That's what I'd love to see. Like, the Niners of the wide receiver room everyone's be like, oh, you have Ayuk, oh, you have Pearsall, or you have the guy from Tennessee, Juwan Jennings.
Right.
I don't love, like, it doesn't feel as cohesive as it was, so I wouldn't mind if they took a flyer on Nash here.
Okay. That's, I mean, that'd be a good pick.
But anyways,
so
we'll go.
Buffalo. Louisville's set up for next year too. They have Miller Moss, who came over from USC.
Yeah.
And he entered the portal and is now in Louisville. What's up? What's breaking?
Bills have traded up and they put defensive tackle T.J. Sanders out of South Carolina.
Wow.
That's very interesting.
T.J. Sanders. Okay. He was a D tackle?
Yeah.
Let's pull up his stuff.
Not the Sanders we thought would go.
No. He's actually the third defensive tackle that's left on the board behind Darius Alexander from Toledo and Shamar Turner from Texas A&M. But T.J. Sanders did wreak some havoc. Let's see his pre-draft analysis. Yeah, so he had 4 sacks last year, 29 solo tackles.
And as you said before, I mean, they got a good defense.
Yeah, they do.
That South Carolina was a good defense this year.
They all around, that team has a ton of speed.
Yeah.
And they play well. I mean, it's Beamer ball, right? Yep. So he's going to get them to play great on defense, special teams, and usually that offense just comes to play anyway. But, I really think South Carolina is going to have a good chance to do some big things.
Yeah, I think they're going to make a big jump in the SEC this year. I think a couple of teams are going to come back.
Florida's going to be a hard team to beat. I mean, they've got DJ Lagway, a ferocious defense still, and they've got a couple other receivers that are still down there.
Yeah, I mean, the SEC is going to look like the SEC this year. I mean,
yeah.
I honestly think it's going to be
besides
like basketball was.
I think Tennessee is not going to have as good of a season as they
No, I mean, someone's going to have to come back.
So, yeah.
And I think Tennessee is going to have a rough one.
We'll see, though. You know.
Yeah, well, right, and you know, I don't want to say nothing.
Yeah.
But TJ, I'm very curious.
So he had, so he's had 2 seasons with more than 4 sacks, 2023 and 2024, which is great. So yeah, I mean, that's what you want to see. You want to see a guy that's, and let's remind ourselves, he's not an edge guy. He's in smack dab in the middle of the defensive line. That's not always a place to always get to the quarterback. The easiest place to get to the quarterback. So if you're making sacks, that's a pretty good thing.
Yep.
Especially 4 in a year. So good for them. Looks like they're shortening up some things that they need to do so. So we're getting closer and closer to Carolina. Not close enough. We still have quite a few picks to go. And actually, we were expecting them to move up in the round 2 draft. I don't see anything in terms of that happening right now, but doesn't mean it won't happen. So yeah, sounds like we did hear from T-Mac yesterday. Some questions thrown out to him. Had some pretty interesting answers as well. Sounds like his favorite player is Larry Fitzgerald, which is interesting because they seem like they have the same kind of play style in some respects. Great route running, good speed, and just amazing hands. So let's listen in to this. We had T-Mac talk yesterday, and let's listen to what he had to say.
Y'all hear me?
We're good. We got you.
Babe, hey, before y'all start, either call me T-Mac or Nalo.
Okay.
I gotta make a correction real quick.
All right, T-Mac. Well, thank you so much. We're so excited to have you. Welcome to Carolina. We will kick it off with Sheena, and then we will go to Darren, followed by Alex and Steve Reed.
Cool.
Well, let's try this thing again. T-Mac, welcome to the Carolinas. Can you walk us through the emotions as you took that phone call?
Yeah, man, I just feel just relief, just finally knowing what team I get to play for. Uh man, I'm just blessed. I'm super grateful for this opportunity and this moment, and I'm just taking it all in right now.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
T-Mac, when you think about this offense you're joining at the moment, what do you know about this crowd and how do you think you're going to fit into it?
Oh man, I think it's gonna be amazing. First things first, obviously, Bryce Young, Cali to Cali connection, that's immediately. And as well as the other receivers, Xavier, Adam Thielen, and I feel like our OC coach Izzik will definitely put it together. I know Coach Canales calls the plays, and I'm confident in them, and they're confident in me, and I'm just ready, to take the Panthers to the next level.
Yeah, what do you remember about those interactions with Coach Canales in particular through this process?
Shoot, you know what? It was really just good vibes. It was nothing but good vibes. Really talking about just regular stuff. He's a kid from Carson, and I'm from Cali as well. So I feel like we hit it off really well, and really it was just kind of they took a chance on me, and I'm super blessed.
Hey, T-Mac. So going off that, so quickly, you and Bryce Young went to rival high schools. I recently learned.
Yeah.
What about, do you remember, I know you guys weren't exactly the same years, but what do you remember about Bryce playing, and does that make it more exciting to be able to play with him?
I mean, shoot, the first thing I remember about Bryce is he whooped us his senior year on national television by 45 points. But man, I always saw him growing up. He was that dude in eighth grade on the IE Ducks. He went to Cathedral. Was a guy transferred to Mater Dei. Finished the number one quarterback, number one player in the country in 2020. I mean, and he won the Heisman in college. I mean, he's literally been the best player at each level of the game. And I've always wanted to be. I've always wanted to be a part of something like that. And I'm just fortunate, that. He sat on the table for me, and that I'm able to play with him, and man, like I said, that connection is gonna be something special.
And then can you take us through your apparel tonight? I know that Polynesian culture means a lot to you. Can you explain why you're wearing what you're wearing?
Sure. As far as just the lay.
Well, that for sure, but you can go through the rest of the fit too.
Oh yeah, don't mind the color. I know I got the wrong colors on, but I'm wearing purple. It's my favorite color. It represents royalty. Then I got some gold chains, black turtleneck. Wearing some Travis Scotts because I'm a Jordan athlete. And then shout out to my grandma for making these lays, man. Everybody in the green room had it on, so we did something that's never been done. We put the lay on the commissioner, so hopefully we can start a new trend.
Thanks, man.
Hey, T-Mac, Steve Reed from the Associated Press. First of all, welcome to Carolina and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Hey, tell me, can I follow up a little bit on the relationship with Bryce? So have you guys have you met, or is it just kind of you know him from a close distance, or have you guys talked? And tell me a little bit about that relationship, if you can. I just got a quick follow up after that.
Oh yeah, we kind of just, like I said, we played against each other in high school, so we kind of just knew of each other, recognized our each other's talents. But I had recently, actually, I was fortunate enough to recently meet him probably about a month ago for the first time at 3D QB in Cali, and I was fortunate enough to it was my first time ever catching the ball from him and running routes for him. So I guess you can say we got a head start on our little chemistry.
That's good. And as a receiver, what do you feel like you bring to the Panthers?
Oh man, I think I bring a lot. I feel like I'm a reliable receiver, one that can play inside and outside whatever they may need me. And but also outside the field, I feel like I'm gonna bring a good energy to the locker room. I feel like I'm gonna build that camaraderie, that relationship with not only Bryce but the the other receivers in the room, as well as, Coach Moore. And, I have faith in Coach Moore and his coaching that he's going to get me to that next level. And, at the end of the day, we chasing greatness. So that's the plan.
All right, and we will go to Mike Solarte, followed by Joe, and then throw it over to David Newton.
Great State T-Mac, welcome to Carolina. Mike Solarte with Spectrum News 1. You touched on it a little bit earlier about the wide receiver group. Can you kind of offer up some thoughts on being able to work with a guy like Adam Thielen, who's seen it all and pretty much done it all? I mean, could you have found a better mentor for your first year?
I mean, yeah, that's a blessing for me in my position. Obviously having Adam Thielen, he's a seasoned vet. He's been in the league for a little while. So, he's pretty much seen the ins and out of this league. And just me being able to come in and just basically, for him to take me under his wing. And, although, I got drafted 8th overall, I'm coming into the facility with an open mind. At the end of the day, I'm ready to be as great as possible. I'm willing to do whatever it takes for this team to be as good as it needs to be. And I'm all ears and open minded to the wisdom and the knowledge that anybody has to give me.
And just as a follow up to that, what do fans not know about your game that you're ready to put out there in front of them?
Oh, my game? Shoot, man. My versatility. I know we got a few other receivers in the receiver room, and I feel like our receiver room is going to be incredible. So, I'm willing to play wherever, whether it's X, F, Z. And I feel like we're going to put that on nose as far as my versatility goes.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Appreciate
it. Hey, T-Mac, welcome with The Athletic. Could you expand a little bit on what you said earlier about Bryce standing on the table for you?
So yeah, he just told me at 3D QB, that he's been, sitting on the table for me, going into the Mr. Morgan's office, going into Coach Canales' office, and really just sitting on the table for me and telling him, hey man, we need to pick this guy. And so I give although, I feel like I did what I needed to do to be in the position, I gave credit to Bryce for, vouching for me and ultimately, for them taking the chance on me.
How big a deal is that? I mean, it sounds like you guys were did you say you were the same year in high school?
No, he's 2 years older than me.
Okay, sorry about that. But you guys are both young guys. I mean, how about the opportunity to kind of grow with him as he takes the next step, as you take the first steps in your career?
I mean, it's a blessing for me knowing that I have a young quarterback to grow with throughout in the league, and just being able to have a quarterback that's reliable, being able to have a quarterback that trusts in me. And I know he's solid people's. When I met him, he's a good kid, man. It's definitely someone I look up to growing up. So being able to finally be on his team and fortunate enough to catch his passes. I mean, I feel like sky's the limit for both of us in this offense.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
Hey, T-Mac, David Newton, ESPN.com. So what do you remember about Bryce's game and that 5-point loss?
Oh, man. I mean, first of all, his team was the best, well, the second best team in the country that year. They lost to St. John Bosco. But in my eyes, he was the best player in the country, and to everybody else's eyes. But man, he was just really good. He knew how to get his teammates involved. He was super patient in the pocket. He threw a pretty ball. And he has swag on that field. You can tell he's confident, but also, calm, collected. And I feel like that's kind of a reflection of my game as well. I feel like we both kind of the moment's not too high, too low for us, and I feel like we'll complement each other really good.
And having said that, have you followed his career the last couple of years, and how surprised are you that he struggled so much those first couple of years?
I mean, yeah, like I said earlier, he's been the best player at every level, and obviously these past couple of years, he struggled a little bit, and I was surprised. He one of the best players I've ever seen in my life, and like I said to somebody else earlier, just towards the end of the season, you saw a glimpse of his greatness, and it looked like he finally got his swagger back, finally got his confidence back, and that's a huge testament to Andy Dalton just kind of bringing him along. And man, I feel like this is the year where Bryce will explode, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
And I think you're the second T-Mac for this team. They had one in 1995, way before you were born. That was called Tim McKyer. So.
Oh wow.
Anyway, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it, man.
All right, we will go over to Vashti, and we have time for a couple more. So if you have any other questions, please raise your hand.
Hi, T-Mac. Vashti Hurd with Carolina Blitz. Welcome to Carolina. I wanted to, just for clarification, you said you want to be called T-Mac, and then you had another name. Can you say that again?
Oh yeah, my name right here on my chain, Nalo. N-A-L-O, Nalo.
Tell us what that means, the background behind it, please.
So it's kind of a nickname that my friends gave me, being from Waimanalo, Hawaii, on the east side of Oahu. And, I kind of just, like I said, they gave me the nickname, and I kind of turned it to my own brand. Obviously, I got it on my chain. I have it on my T-shirts. And basically, just kind of wanted to make it my brand. And that's what it is.
Thank you. So T-Mac or Nalo?
Hey, that's it. There you go.
All right. Also, I wanted to know about I know you had a visit here in Charlotte. Just tell us the vibes that you got from Dave Canales and how you guys meshed personality-wise. He said you were a good fit personality-wise for this team. Why do you think that is?
I mean, first things first, he's a Cali dude. So, that's immediate chemistry. He looks like he felt like a good just father, good husband, somebody that, I would potentially want to be around, and I'm finally fortunate enough to actually be around him. So but that facility, they gave me nothing but good energy, good vibes, cool peoples, definitely some of that people that I can mesh with. So I'm just looking forward to coming to Charlotte tomorrow and seeing everybody.
Thanks.
All right, and we will wrap with Scott Fowler.
Hi, T-Mac. Congratulations with the local paper here, the Charlotte Observer. I wonder if there are any wide receivers in the NFL you would currently compare yourself to, or, guys that you've emulated, idols in the position, people that you want to be like.
First things first, my favorite football player ever is Larry Fitzgerald. And then two receivers that, I watch and, I feel like I can emulate and similar play styles as Mike Evans and Keenan Allen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Congrats.
All right. So wrapping up that discussion with T-Mac, obviously a lot more to come from the Panthers tonight as we still are awaiting some movement here in round 2. Earlier today, George Santos had a sentencing. He's the congressman that has had a lot of controversy swirling around not just his time in Congress, but also the way in which some of the funds have come about in terms of campaign raising, things of that nature. So let's listen to this news conference as it happened earlier today.
Can you hear it? No. I just delivered a victim's impact statement to the court detailing his crime against the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund. He certified every week that he was unemployed through no fault of his own while he was collecting a $120,000 salary from a company in Florida. And this is not a victimless crime. This impacts the people standing to my right. This impacts people trying to get their benefits from the unemployment insurance offices. It impacts businesses who pay into the trust fund. And more than anything else, it tends to destroy the people's faith in government. We are, for him to then go on and become an elected representative and be a co-sponsor of a bill that would actually enhance the charges against people who commit this fraud is the height of hypocrisy. And, I take my service as a public servant incredibly seriously. My whole job is to ensure that the public is served the way that they deserve. And they do not deserve to be built by this kind of fraudster.
How important was it for you to speak today on behalf of the victims that were here?
It was terribly important. We were talking earlier, people think of this as a victimless crime because it's about money. There are many victims in this crime, as I said, and remember that every week He had to certify, I am unemployed through no fault of my own. So every week, he lied to the state of New York.
How do you feel about the sentence?
I think it's appropriate. I think the judge did a terrific job. Judge Seibert was wonderful, and she heard all of the testimony, and she sentenced him appropriately. As they said, it wasn't just one crime, it was 5.
And you also asked for the maximum.
We did.
You listened to him today. What did you think of his reaction?
It's sad that he's in this situation, but it is a situation of his own making. And as I said, he made these decisions every week. It wasn't a mistake, it wasn't an oops, it wasn't I don't know what I'm doing. It's very clear when you steal money from UI. And every week he lied to the state. And so I'm sorry for him, but every week he had a chance to change it and he didn't.
So you were speaking in behalf of taxpayers?
I am, absolutely.
Can you state your name one more time and spell it?
Roberta Reardon, RobertaReardon.
And what's your title, Ms. Reardon?
I'm the Commissioner of the New York State Department of Labor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Jody, it's a lot for us to hear you say what you said.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Jody Cass-Finkel. I'm the head of Concerned Citizens of New York 03. We're going to get started? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
We actually said we were going to do a little press conference here with folks from the community. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened today and what it means for our community. First of all, I want to say that, listening to George Santos, he blamed everybody else but himself, his mother, his father, being bullied as a child. He's still lying. My reaction in sitting in the courtroom was cry me a river when he got that sentence. He has betrayed the public trust. And people are asking, is this closure for us? I will say this is not closure for us. Why isn't it closure? Because we have many elected officials representing us who are still lying. And so we will get closure as soon as the lying stops. And we are not going to wait. We will not be deceived again. And we are here today to announce the launch of a new project called DeceivedNation.com. And in that project, we will be holding our elected officials and our candidates accountable for everything that they say they're going to do, and everything that they do. So let's talk about lying. We are sick and tired of the incessant lies. Lies erode trust, they result in corruption, and worse, they create a climate of deceit. People expect dishonesty at this point, and people don't believe anything. Is he here? Okay. It used to be when there was a lie and an elected official got caught in a lie, they were shamed and they would resign. But that's not what's going on anymore. Now, when they're caught in a lie, they double down and they say ever more extreme lies. So this is how we see it. Humans have changed the way that they communicate. And the typical place where people used to get their information has shifted. But the guardrails, the regulation that helps to protect the public have not yet put in place. And in the absence, the Republican Party has been taking advantage of that and blatantly lying. So we are fighting back against those lies. The Santos debacle forced us to organize. We got a head start. And we would not let Santos's lies be normalized. We cannot let these other liars also be normalized. Today, in the face of ever more electeds with outrageous lies, we are launching this Deceived Nation project. Is it okay to run on a platform of promises that you have no intention of keeping? Is it okay to say what you're going to do and then when you get elected, you change it and you do the opposite? What about not fixing the things that you say you're going to fix that cost your constituents money, and then taking donations from the people who make millions from an inefficient system? We created Deceived Nation to address, because we see the disinformation, we see the distortions, we see the distractions, and we see the outright lies. So, and if it goes unresponded, we know that if there's no pushback, it gets normalized. So that's what we're here to talk about today. We're going to hear from a few people around the district. Our first person we're going to hear from is Aiden Davis from Plainview. Aiden.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Aiden Davis. I'm 20 years old. I'm a student at Princeton University, and I'm from Plainview. When I first heard about George Santos's lies and fabrications, I knew it was my obligation as a young person to use my voice for one thing: to get him out of office. I joined Concerned Citizens of New York 03 in December of 2022, and since then I've been alongside these great people in the fight to get accountability for our district. As a young person, I know the corrosive effects of liars like Santos on the trust of my generation in our government and our politics. My generation grew up in a social media environment based on lies and deception. The incentives to lie online are so high because of engagement-based algorithms and institutions so distrusted that it's now almost impossible to know what's true anymore. So to see someone like George Santos so brazenly take advantage of this and our district to get elected is perhaps the grossest misuse of our information ecosystem that I can think of. It's not just that Santos's lies betrayed our district's trust. The lies he used to get elected, to boost himself and to take down his opponent, has emboldened deceitful politicians to further degrade our political dialogue and throw campaigns into the gutter. Over the course of the past 2 election cycles, we've seen brazen lies on nasty mailers targeting incumbents and candidates alike. What has this led to? A chilling effect on young people, women, and other vulnerable groups from running for office, for fear that they'd be easy targets for these low-blow falsehoods. We, as informed and responsible citizens, have to get the people to push back on the lies. That's why DeceiveNation.com was created, to push back on the lies from politicians and their henchmen and their PACs that flood our feeds every day. As citizens, we must demand honesty, integrity, and transparency from our elected officials. And when they don't live up to that, we must hold them accountable. And when they lie, instead of allowing them to double down on their lie, we must call them out. Call out their lie. We must show young people that honesty matters, that the system can work, that our values of honesty and integrity and transparency are to be rewarded, not denigrated. We refuse to be deceived again. It is incumbent on all of us, young and old, to take up this fight for a more trustworthy and representative government. Yes. For us, for your kids, and for future generations. Yeah. Thank you.
Now we're going to hear. Yep. We're going to hear from Sabina Margolis from Great Neck. Hang on. Okay, as soon as when he comes, we'll stop. Okay. And are we in the way here of the shot you're looking for?
No, I am. Don't worry about it.
We understand. We will do that. Okay, everybody, as soon as Santos comes out, the camera's out, but then we'll go.
I'll make this quick.
We've been here a few times already with them, we know.
My name is Sabina Margolis, and I am part of the Deceive Nation project because our county is under threat. And it's not from the outsiders, it's from politicians gone rogue in our county. Such is the case for Bruce Blakeman and his really crazy idea of a militia. He's pushing this dangerous legal plan and is only accountable to him, and with what funds. It's not really, it's public funds. It's not something that we agree to. See, he calls it public safety, and let's be honest, it's public danger. It's a year later, and we still don't know who picks them, what training they'll get, what weapons they carry, what costs us, and who are they in the first place. And it's no surprise that many of the FOIL requests we've made have gone ignored. No answers, no plan, no interest in serving the community. This isn't safety, it's a power grab. With Santos, we started to observe how lying got out of hand. It was just continuous lying. But it doesn't stop there, as we were saying. That's why we launched Steve Nation. We, the people, are now amplifiers. We are the resistance, and we are just getting started. By November 4th, every voter in Nassau County should know the truth. Blakeman, you're lying. We don't buy your distraction, we don't buy your distortion, we don't buy your disinformation. We demand disband the illegal militia, fix the broken property tax assessment system, protect our environment, revitalize our downtowns, lower our taxes. Our county executive doesn't need a militia. He needs a wake-up call, and we are it.
Yes, we are. Yay, Sabina! And Sabina is one of a small army of people who have created, all volunteers who created the DeceiveNation.com project. Emily from Plainview. Yes. Woo! Emily Raphael. Right?
Yes, we're Rayfield. Hi, I've been a member of Concerned Citizens of New York since January of 2023, and at that time, Santos was sort of a big unfunny joke, and I hope he goes back into obscurity after all this. I'd imagine it's hard to film cameos from the pokey. But we have to think not about the specifics of his case, about the Botox and the Hermes scarves and the stolen money for a dying dog and on, but how important vigilance is. As nice as it is that a small group of people made enough of a fuss to help get this disgrace out of office, the work is hardly over. We need to keep working and keep an eye on the government. It's been very eye-opening to see just how easily people can get away with lies and distortions if no one questions and corrects them, and that's what Deceive Nation aims to do. Thanks.
That's great. Thank you, Emily. Okay, now we're going to hear from Kim Kaiserman from Port Washington.
Jody. My name is Kim Kaiserman, and I'm a member of the good government group Concerned Citizens of New York 03. In December 2022, I was stunned to learn that my member of Congress had gotten elected by creating a false persona to trick people into voting for him. Pretty quickly, it became apparent that George Santos was a total fraud whose lies were as brazen and offensive as they were numerous, and that he was not a person who would ever be able to represent my community. I was outraged. So I joined with a group of volunteers who became Concerned Citizens of New York 03, and we got to work on a grassroots campaign to force Santos's ouster from Congress. It seems incredible now, but in the early days, we actually thought our local Republican officials might join our effort, but they were completely uninterested. We thought the other members of Long Island's congressional delegation might speak up for us, but they gave us minimal lip service and then fell silent. And we thought our work would be done in a matter of weeks, but it took 11 months. For those 11 months, 770,000 Americans were deprived of the representation and advocacy that every single one of us should be able to expect in our representative democracy. Instead, we were treated to continued lies and ugly publicity stunts by George Santos and stonewalling by his Republican allies. The day in December 2023, when George Santos was expelled from Congress, was the day those 770,000 people finally got relief. And today, nearly 18 months later, is the day we finally get justice. Don't get me wrong, this is not a happy day. A man is going to prison, but it's an important and necessary day. It's also an appropriate day to reflect on the lessons of George Santos. How was an obvious con man nominated, elected, and allowed to stay in office for 11 months? Trying to find the answer has been like turning over a rock and finding a rotten culture of lying underneath. The truth is that George Santos emerged from the culture of lying he was protected by it, and he leaves it with us even as he goes off to jail. He is just one example of the way lying is corroding our democracy. An extreme and over-the-top example, but one example nevertheless. When a win-at-all-costs mentality governs a political movement, lies become commonplace and accepted as normal. Here on Long Island, the Nassau County GOP is a flagrant purveyor of lies, nominating candidates who lie frequently, both on the campaign trail and in public office. I have firsthand experience with this. When I ran for state senate in the last cycle, I was targeted by a deluge of baseless claims and outlandish falsehoods. I saw with frustrating clarity the way disinformation is polluting our local politics. And I realized with great alarm that our local press is no longer fact-checking politicians with regularity. So while Santos's sentence may give 770,000 people a measure of closure or a measure of justice, it does not give us closure. What would give us closure? Not just a few years in prison, but the restoration of a few truths in our public life. First, character matters. Second, standards of ethics, honesty, and transparency must be bipartisan. Finally, accountability is integral to democracy. And with changes in our information ecosystem, we need new ways of holding liars accountable. So that brings me to the future of this wonderful group of truth tellers, concerned citizens of New York 03. At first, we thought our work would end when George Santos was expelled, but it quickly became clear that we had much more to do in this fight against the culture of lying. As a grassroots group, we came up with a grassroots solution, the Deceive Nation Project, which will foster a network of volunteers who are committed to pushing back against propaganda, disinformation, and fear-mongering. This network will use the emerging information ecosystem to differentiate truth from lies and bring transparency, honesty, integrity, and accountability to our political discourse. We're proud to introduce this project today. We invite you to look at our website, our social media, and we encourage you to join us in fighting the culture of lying and restoring truth to our public life. Thank you very much.
Now, we're going to hear from one more person, very short, Vasu Krishnamurthy, and he is from Manhasset. So we have people from all over New York 03.
Take a minute, 1 minute. Yeah, I know again. Sorry, one mic. Best I can.
That won't be out of your way.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Vasu Krishnamurthy. I'm a resident of Manhasset, which is, as you know, part of New York District, Congressional District 3. It has been a long journey to see justice served to George Santos, but we are not relieved today. We're only comforted by it because Santos is an aberration. His buffoonery was so extreme that it could not be ignored or same-washed. But we see all around us unprecedented damage done through lies, deceit, and misdirection by Trump and on down to his local cronies, Bruce Blakeman and Jen DeSena. Possibly. Am I continuing or? Yeah, there you go. Hey, buddy.
Excuse me.
All right, I guess we do have to follow. Sorry.
Is that him?
Yeah.
Why is it?
deception! Stop the 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 deception! Sapphire's happy now, Anthony! Justice for Sapphire! 7 years, Anthony! Justice! Justice!
Anthony
You
Ravache.
killed a dog, Anthony DeVolder! A service dog for a veteran!
You killed my dog, Anthony!
Anthony DeVolder! Justice! 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 Stop the deception! Stop the deception! Yes, he's the veteran.
Where's Vasu? There, Vasu is in the middle.
I'd like to.
Okay.
Mr. Marzulli, hang on a second. Oh, It is, buddy. Thank you. John's been gone. Yeah, he went right to urgent care.
Getting some breaking news. Denver swapping with Carolina. Carolina is going to take the 51st pick in the second round of the draft here. Nick Carboni joining us here. We're going to give him a minute to look at some of the information that he is gathering, but this is crazy. We've been talking about some movement by Carolina, and finally we have some. So Carolina will take the 51st pick. They'll also have the 57th pick in round 2. So not too far away from one another. Been a lot of defensive players picked in round 2. So we'll bring in Nick momentarily here, but some interesting. Let's look at the best available here. Still have Mike Green as an edge on the list. Darius Alexander, Siobhan Revel, obviously Shedeur. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, so the Panthers did swap with Denver, as you said. So the Panthers won't pick 57th anymore. They will move up, so it's a second-round pick swap, and then there will be other details we'll get to. I've been waiting for Carolina to move up for a while as all these defensive players go off the board.
Yeah.
57 was a long time to wait, so obviously there's somebody they've identified that, you know, they probably didn't love all the guys coming off the board and identified somebody they liked and came up. So just looking at Mike Green is an interesting case. Marshall defensive, he's a pass rusher. He is somebody that is a first round, talent, but has some off the field question marks. I mean, he was multiple times accused of sexual assault, has denied those allegations. Those are dating back to high school, I believe. So I'm not saying he's the pick, but he's a position of need. He's a first-round talent that has fallen. Just looking at some of the others, Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo, maybe at a cornerback, Siobhan Revel from East Carolina. So I still think they'll probably go defense here. I don't think they're going after Shedeur Sanders, and there's a tight end available, Arroyo from Miami. But let's see what the pick is as the Panthers make it at 51. But yeah, so Arroyo went to the Seahawks. I did not see that. So they go with edge rusher. It's Nick Scourton from Texas A&M. So a position of need. There was a run on defensive players, especially front seven players earlier in this second round. Listen, I'm sure the Panthers would have liked to grab some of those guys, but maybe there wasn't the deal there that they liked enough as running back Chuba Hubbard makes the pick in Green Bay. So it's Nick Scourton, and I'll get you some information on him. It's a little bit murkier when we're not dealing with these first round picks. You got hundreds and hundreds of guys coming out of the draft. So so that they didn't address defense yesterday, obviously, getting to Teroa McMillan.
Right.
And now it is a defensive player. So edge rush, obviously they need help getting out of the passer. This is a guy that could help with the run, I think. Which is also a problem, 6'3", 257 pounds. Now, it's been interesting to kind of follow some of these Texas A&M players. Some of them don't have the production that you would want, the big stat lines.
Yeah, Bengals picked a guy yesterday.
Yeah, but they're Shamar Stewart.
Yep.
poster child for that.
Right.
But they're physically very gifted.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the scheme. Maybe they just need more seasoning and development. So I think that Nick Scourton would probably fit into that category. Okay. So just reading some of the stuff on ESPN, power rusher, can mix in a spin move. So he's probably got to add more pass rush moves to his arsenal. And he, listen, he's not going to come in to Carolina and be like 3-down guy right away, pick up double-digit sacks. He adds to a rotation. They added Pat Jones from the Vikings, who's an ascending pass rusher in free agency. They got beefier in the middle with Bobby Brown to pair with Derek Brown right up front, and then also Tershawn Wharton, who had 6.5 sacks as a defensive tackle, which, that's obviously an interior line position. It's hard to get after the quarterback from that position. He got 6.5 sacks in Kansas City. So I think this Scourton pick is just adding to that rotation. Hopefully somebody you can develop into an elite pass rusher in the NFL. That's kind of what a round 2 pick is kind of designed for most of the time, unless it's somebody that's fallen from the first round, which doesn't fit here. So I'll be interested to see the rest of the return. I have not seen that yet. But I, ran right in here for you guys as soon as we found out. But Nick Scourton coming to the Panthers. And I would expect heavy defense the next 2 days for the Carolina Panthers in this draft.
So
got the wide receiver yesterday, edge rusher here in round 2, and we'll see what their next pick is. Unless they gave up the 3rd round pick, I don't know. But we will be tracking all of that.
Seems like they're still sitting at 85 in round 3, but we'll see. It looks like there could be some movement.
Yeah, listen, they had to spend some of their capital that they had. They had 9 picks heading into this draft, 8 heading into tonight. They had to spend some of that capital to move up. What was it? 6 spots. 6 spots in the 2nd round. Like, hopefully they didn't give up the farm for that, obviously. So I will continue to kind of to scour to see what. Okay, so here we go. Tom Pelissero, he is with NFL Media. And Carolina trades 57, 74, 111, 230 for 51, 85, 122, and 208. So it's an even amount of picks.
Okay.
They don't lose the number of picks. They just go back some spots from 74 to 85, back from 111 to 122, and back from actually up from 230 to 208. So same amount of picks. Move up 6 spots and get an edge rusher as a lot were coming off the board.
And this is a new thing that these GMs are doing nowadays, right?
Oh man, the pick trades, just picks. They've always been chips, but they are really being used as capital lately. And Dan Morgan made a trade in every round last year, so he was probably and he was trying last night too. He's trying to trade out of 8, but didn't get the deal that they really wanted, and they really did like Tator McMillan. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's more movement from Dan Morgan tonight. He keeps the same amount of picks basically in the same range, just mostly a little further back than before to move up 6 spots in round 2.
So you're happy with this choice, you think?
Listen, I think it addresses a need. I think there were absolutely more proven and productive edge rushers available towards the top of this 2nd round, but for whatever reason, the Panthers did not or could not move up far enough. Maybe didn't want to give up what they were being asked to give up. We've seen some, King's ransoms being spent in the 2nd round tonight already. So I think they're probably pretty happy with addressing a need and getting somebody that they think they can develop into one of their premier pass rushers, but probably won't be right away.
Right on. All right. I know you got a ton of other stuff. You've had an amazing couple of days, so I'll let you get back to it.
Yeah,
check
let's
in with
keep
your
it going.
sources.
I
You want to keep
appreciate
going?
you. Well, yeah, I do. I meant, overall.
Yes,
but
I
I
know.
appreciate you guys carrying the load tonight in
man.
round 2.
It's fun
round
stuff.
2 is fun too. I mean, you have so many
whole
interesting
draft.
stories like Shedeur Sanders is still
Right,
out there.
right.
That is,
Or the
that's
guy we had-
wildest story in this draft in a long time, just given the star power and the name.
Or the guy that just got picked, he played the linebacker that the Bengals picked. He actually played at UNC Charlotte.
Yeah, he did. Demetrius Knight Jr., I believe Georgia Tech, played 1 season at Charlotte as a senior and finished his college career with a great season for the Gamecocks defense as a super senior in this age of COVID and portal. But the Bengals got a good one. For
they
sure.
did.
Demetrius Knight. And anybody from that Gamecocks defense, it doesn't matter what's going on with the Gamecocks program, and they're doing well right now.
Right.
But even in down years, that defense is full of NFL
Always.
players.
Yeah, you can
full
always
of them.
count on them.
So
And they're
yeah.
fast. They fly to the ball like
And one
crazy.
interesting note tonight, look out for it. And I don't know if anybody's in range or being looked at by the Panthers. They've never drafted a player from Clemson. How crazy is that?
That's weird,
They've drafted
right?
a ton of Gamecocks.
Right.
UNC, NC State, the whole
Something
deal.
gotta-
Yesterday was their first pick from Arizona ever.
Okay.
In McMillan, but they've never drafted a Clemson Tiger.
I wonder if there's somebody.
I don't know what's going on. At some point, is something going on?
There's
like,
gotta
what's
be.
going on there?
There's gotta be. Is it a
They've
coincidence?
they've had Clemson guys play for them, but not
Never picked
get
him out
to
of the
them
draft.
in the draft.
Interesting.
So, we'll see.
Well,
We'll
there we
see.
go. We'll see if it changes. All right, Nick, I'll let you get going, man. Again, he's had a fantastic couple of days. If you missed our special yesterday, it is on WCNC Plus right now on demand. You can stream that. Just a plethora of information last night that Jeb had, as well as Nick Carboni, our stream team, just doing some amazing work over the last couple of days. And this is why WCNC Plus is so good, because when we have breaking news like this, we can bring it to you uninterrupted here on WCNC Plus. We'll go back to this news conference on George Santos as it was already going on. Sorry.
Tell them not to book an Alexa. They're gonna get slapped. Oh wow! When I tried it.
So nobody's speaking at this, right? So let's at least lower it.
I think that can go away in fire. Yeah.
Right?
I know. Are they going in that one? This one?
Oh, they're definitely gonna.
No, they're gonna go to the. They're gonna go to this.
Right. You don't think and.
No, that was the case.
This was the.
Bingo!
Very impressive.
Oh, no, I can't.
The guy in the tie. Oh, what do we got here? Is this group?
Yeah, these could be him.
Just bring your elbow down, bud.
Take responsibility for my actions.
You know which one it is? Can you point out? Oh, okay. The white. He's carrying a white. Yep, perfect.
The guy holding the envelope.
Yep.
Hey, come on.
Oh,
yes.
I was with you. Oh, yeah. Okay. Get to Sorry. All right.
I'm ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome. I'm John Durham. I'm the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. With me today is Christopher Rea. He's the Assistant Director in Charge of New York's FBI. Scott D'Alessandro, He's an assistant special agent in charge of the IRS New York field office and District Attorney Ann Donnelly. I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank you for your partnership. So a short time ago in the courthouse behind me, former Congressman George Santos was sentenced to just over 7 years in federal prison. He was also ordered to pay more than $370,000 in restitution and forfeit more than $200,000. And that restitution will go to his victims. Now, 8 months ago, Santos appeared in the same courthouse and he pled guilty. He pled guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. He admitted to engaging in a brazen crime spree that took place over a period of years. He stole personal identities and financial information of campaign contributors, made unauthorized transfers of money to his campaign and to himself personally. He defrauded prospective political supporters by convincing them to make campaign contributions based on false statements, and then he took the money for himself. He lied to receive unemployment benefits when he was not entitled to them because he had a job. He lied to the Federal Election Commission about the amount of money his campaign had brought in, and he used that to trick the National Republican Congressional Committee into giving his campaign money it was not entitled to. And he lied to Congress on his financial disclosure forms. From the moment he declared his candidacy for Congress, Santos leveraged his campaign for his own enrichment and financial benefit. He did this by targeting specific supporters and constituents. He saw them as easy marks, and he made them victims of his fraud. Santos's victims were real people, and they suffered real losses. He went so far as to seek out elderly people who suffered from cognitive impairment and dementia. Santos's blatant corruption is an affront to our electoral process, our representative government, and the people of New York's 3rd Congressional District. But today, and finally, Santos has been held accountable for his years of fraud, deceit, and theft. He's going to federal prison, and he's going to be punished for his staggering fraud, the abuses he put on our electoral process, for mocking our democratic institutions, and most importantly, for betraying and defrauding his supporters, his voters, his donors, federal agencies, state agencies. Today's sentence demonstrates that this egregious conduct will not and never will be tolerated. Now, Santos has been held accountable thanks to the tireless efforts of prosecutors from the Department of Justice and investigators from the FBI, IRS, and Nassau District Attorney's Office. I want to commend several people in particular. Assistant United States Attorneys Ryan Harris, Anthony Bagnola, and Laura Zuckerwise, paralegal specialist Rachel Friedman and Denora Roscoe from this office, trial attorney John Taddy from the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section, special agents Katrina Laparuta and Ken Hosey, and intelligence analyst Julianne Wolf from the FBI, Nassau County District Attorney's Office Detective Investigator Gavin Shea, and IRS Special Agent Samantha Kelvin. I'm not done. In conclusion, I want to assure the public and all of you that came out today that your faith in the government and our criminal justice system is warranted. Santos' disgraceful and greedy conduct has been exposed, and at last he's been brought to justice. And that same fate awaits those in public service at any level, state, local, or federal, who abuse their positions, I do, and serve themselves and not the people they represent. Officials who lie and steal and defraud will find themselves in a courtroom, and they will learn, as George Santos has, that there's a serious price to pay for corrupt behavior. No one is above the law. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to FBI Assistant Director in Charge, Christopher Rea.
GeoCode 3 thanks you.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Rea. I'm the assistant director in charge of our New York office. Today, former United States Congressman George Santos was held accountable for his repeated criminal dishonesty, financing his election campaign with ill-obtained funds, stealing COVID unemployment benefits, and providing materially false information in his financial disclosure. Santos abused his authority to garner illicit donations and campaign support, ultimately betraying the public's trust and violating our democratic systems. May today's sentencing emphasize the FBI's continued commitment to dismantling any fraudulent scheme designed to unlawfully benefit those in positions of power. Today would not have been possible without the tireless dedication of the FBI New York headquarters city, the Public Corruption Squad, and the squad located right here at our Long Island resident agency. I would also like to thank the Eastern District of New York's acting U.S. Attorney John Durham and his prosecutorial team, who did a phenomenal job with this case. Additionally, I want to extend my appreciation to the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section, IRS Criminal Investigative Division, Department of Labor's Office of Inspector General, and the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. The collective efforts across all agencies ensure justice was delivered today. I'll now turn it over to ASAC D'Alessandro from IRS.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott D'Alessandro. I am an assistant special agent in charge with IRS Criminal Investigation here in the New York field office. I would like to begin by thanking the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, John Durham, for hosting today's press conference and also for overseeing this important investigation through to its conclusion today. I would also like to thank the FBI's New York field office as well as the Nassau County District Attorney's Office for their incredible work on this case. Special agents from IRS-CI specialize in following the movement of illicit funds. This is exactly what the agent on this investigation did, tirelessly combing through financial records to determine how funds were spent. It became evident that Santos used his position as an elected official and public servant to conduct criminal activity. While U.S. campaign finance laws are designed to promote transparency in our electoral process, Santos willfully participated in a scheme to defraud not just his supporters, but also the United States government. This type of financial fraud is not a victimless crime. The American people, his constituents, his co-members in Congress, as well as his supporters and donors, are all victims in this case. These are individuals that place their trust in Santos to not only represent them, but to utilize their donations in accordance with the law. Santos instead used these donations for his own personal enrichment. Today's sentencing means that Santos will now experience the full cost of his deception. IRS Criminal Investigation will continue to work with our law enforcement partners and the U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate anyone who seeks to defraud or abuse the American financial system or the public for their own gain. While the agents at IRS-CI have known since our inception 100 years ago, is that the money trail will not lie. I now pass the podium over to Nassau County District Attorney Ann Donnelly. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ann Donnelly, the Nassau County District Attorney. I want to thank U.S. Attorney John Durham, the members of the FBI and the IRS who joined with us today. It is because of our continued partnership together, working together, that we were able to get the conclusion today that we did. And what a conclusion it is. George Santos spent his brief career in public service conning donors, misleading his constituents, and defrauding the government. He told lie after lie until it caught up with him, until we caught up with him, and exposed him for what he truly was, an opportunist and a fraud. And come July 25th, George Santos will finally be where he belongs, behind bars, answering for these crimes. George Santos was the polar opposite of what a public servant should be. He is without integrity, unconcerned with his constituents, and self-interested in every way. Designer clothes were more important to him than following the rule of law. luxury more important to him than the oath he took to serve his country and the people who elected him. He had a responsibility to those people. They counted on him to deliver for them. Instead, they got an empty man in an empty designer suit, financed by fraud. A man who to this day is not truly remorseful for his actions. A man who failed the people of Nassau County, the people who trusted and relied on him. When I announced that I wanted to begin an investigation into George Santos, the Eastern District U.S. Attorney approached me and said they would like to work this investigation together. And we did. And it's that partnership that led us to today. The prosecutors in the U.S. Attorney's Office, the investigators at the FBI, and
All right, guys, bringing you back in here inside the Live Impact studio here on WCNC Plus. Still keeping an eye on everything draft as we are still in round 2. The Bears just picking, and it seems like the Lions are on the clock. It seems like the pick is in, actually, for them. But the Bears just picked a offensive tackle from Boston College. Trey Harris was taken off the board finally, the wide receiver from Ole Miss that went to the Chargers. It looks like the Packers got an offensive tackle from North Carolina State, Anthony Belton. We've heard that name before. 6'6", 336 from North Carolina State. The Wolfpack started at tackle for 3 years. Apparently he's got massive... he's a massive mauler, they say on ESPN. He's got the strength to move defenders off the ball. That's probably going to be a great protection for Jordan Love, I would imagine.
And I think that's exactly what they want.
Yep.
I mean,
They just picked
keep
up
him
Matthew
healthy.
Golden.
How good could he have been last year if he didn't take that nasty knock in that
They
first
could've
game
made it-
against Philadelphia?
They could have made it all the way to the potentially the Super Bowl.
100%. If he was healthy, essentially, get better protection, give him a wide receiver one, give him that weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, Green Bay might be looking this draft, which is in Green Bay, might be setting them up for a really, really
Well, they
good
just got
season.
Matthew Golden yesterday.
Yeah,
He's
and I like
an
that
amazing
pick a lot.
route runner, and Green Bay does have one of the deepest wide receiver rooms. in
Right,
all
that was
of
the
NFL.
problem, is that they each had guys.
Yeah.
They were all very good, but none of them could really
Yeah, I
separate
mean, I want to
them
pull
back.
up their roster real quick, and if you get it up before me, let me know.
I like the
but,
challenge.
It's Watson, right? Christian Watson's on their team. I think he's wide receiver 1, I do believe. Let's see, I'm pulling up. They play in the NFC North. I got the roster up.
I accidentally put
They've
Panthers.
got Dobbs, Romeo Dobbs.
Yep.
He's good.
Jaden Reed was
Jaden
excellent.
Reed was fantastic last year. Christian Watson.
Dontavian
Wicks.
He's
Yep.
also very good.
And Christian Watson's 6'4". You got Malik Heath. He's a second-year player from Ole Miss, but he's pretty good. Mecole Hardman. Let's not forget Mecole Hardman as well. So, man, this team could have quite the receiver room as well. Already does have the receiver room. So, interesting stuff. We are just going to continue watching the draft, even though we are coming to a close here on WCNC Plus. I do want to update things. Carolina has the 85th pick in round 3. So again, we will be covering that for you, even if we're not here on WCNC Plus, and we'll have the latest for you coming up on the 11 o'clock news our linear show here on WCNC. So we appreciate you hanging out with us. We appreciate Eugene Robinson calling in from Green Bay as he is taking in the festivities of the draft as well. Yeah, it was great to have him. We need to utilize him more because he's actually played in the NFL and has so much to tell us. We appreciate you spending time with us. We'll see you again tonight at 11 o'clock.